Hello friends, in this video we will see properties based on Fourier transform as well as to some extent we'll try to solve some numerical. Let us begin. So we'll start with properties of Fourier transform. The first property that we are going to look after is a time shifting property. Let's see. For example, let us assume some signal x of t whose Fourier transform is x of omega. Please remember x of omega sometimes represented as x of j omega, it is one and the same thing, but preferably to avoid some confusion along with j we use this notation. So if x of t's Fourier transform is x of omega, then in case if the time shifting takes place, and you know that time shifting means there are two categories, either it can be time delay or it can be time advance. Let us assume x of t minus t naught. In that case, a Fourier transform is, again, it is x of omega only, accompanied by some exponential function e to the power minus j omega t naught. In case if the advancing takes place, that is x of t plus t naught, in that case the Fourier transform is same as that of x of omega, accompanied with extra exponential term e to the power positive j omega t naught. So you can just notice that if we have negative sign here, we have negative sign at power of exponential function. If we have a positive sign here, indicating it is advanced by t naught quantity, then we have a positive exponent present over here. If you want, you can relate with Fourier series property. In Fourier series property also, we used to get Ck, that is nothing but a Fourier series coefficient in terms of a complex exponential Fourier series. There also we have studied this time shifting property and we had the similar property if you remember. Assuming that now I'm talking about a Fourier series just to have some connectivity. If assume that x of t is a periodic signal and I have already obtained its Fourier series, and assuming Fourier series coefficient for given x of t is Ck. So what is Ck? Ck is a Fourier series coefficient. Then coefficient of x of t minus t naught can be calculated by using the previous Ck only, accompanied with e to the power minus j k omega t naught. So in this case, this k omega is replaced with omega when we go from Fourier series to Fourier transform. This kind of derivation we have already seen. So that's the only difference you will see over here. Here we have e to the power minus j omega t naught, and here in place of k omega we have replaced with omega. So now we'll go to the next property, that is time scaling property. So how it works, let's see. If x of t's Fourier transform is x of omega, in that case if the scaling takes place, let's say by alpha, then x of alpha t will have its Fourier transform as 1 upon mod of alpha x of omega by alpha. In this case, for example, when you are scaling by alpha, assuming that alpha is greater than 1, then you know that what happens in time domain. This is what we called as a time compression. So if alpha greater than 1, then x of alpha t does time compression. In that case, if you see in frequency domain, as you can see, alpha is not getting multiplied with omega, it is in fact dividing omega by alpha. So here what is going to happen is frequency expansion. And of course it must happen because time domain and frequency domain are inversely proportional to each other. So if compression takes place in time domain, expansion must take place in frequency domain. And again it is vice versa. Let's say if alpha is lesser than 1 instead of greater than 1, then time expansion will take place in time domain. In that case, in frequency compression will happen. For example, let's say if I already have x of omega as Fourier transform for x of t, then x of 2t, that is Fourier transform for x of 2t function, which is time scaled by 2, will have its Fourier transform as 1 upon mod of 2 x of omega by 2. So this is just for an example I have shown you. Again, we will solve some numerical based on this. In that case, we will apply this property. Similarly, when I'm going for a time reversal property, let's say if my signal is x of t having its Fourier transform as x of omega, then x of minus t, which is nothing but a time reversal, version of x of t, will have its Fourier transform as x of minus omega. Next, we have a frequency shifting property. So we'll see what happens when a frequency shifting takes place. So I'll make one statement over here. Shifting in one domain. When I'm saying this, that shifting takes place in one domain, it can be time domain, it can be frequency domain. See, what I'm claiming is, if there is shifting in one domain, then there is a phasor addition or deletion in another domain. So we'll see what does that mean. We have already seen a time shifting property, so I'll go back to time shifting property. So as you can see, there is shifting in time domain. You can see that there is shifting in time domain. In that case, as you can see, the phasor terms are added in frequency domain. Is that right? So vice versa thing will happen when a shifting takes place in case of frequency. What we had over here is time shifting. Now we are going to have a frequency shifting. Let's see. For example, if I have signal x of t whose Fourier transform is already known to me, let's say x of omega. In that case, if let's say there is shifting in frequency domain by term omega naught, or we may have this kind of shifting, that is omega minus omega naught, then if you see in time domain, there is phasor addition or deletion. So it is like this: x of t e to the power minus j omega naught t, and here again there is inclusion of exponential term e to the power positive j omega naught. So you should notice this thing: if there is plus sign in frequency shift, then we have a negative phasor term over here, and whenever we have negative phase shift, and whenever we have a negative sign as shifting in frequency domain, then we have a positive exponential phasor added in case of time domain. So this thing you should remember. In case of time shifting, the sign were similar, that is, let me remind you, by assuming again same, if x of t's Fourier transform is x of omega, in that case x of t minus t naught as a Fourier transform as e to the power minus j omega t naught x of omega. So you can notice over here, if we have a negative sign in time domain, we have negative sign in the exponent of a frequency domain. So let us assume that x of t has a Fourier transform as x of omega. Then you have to guess what is Fourier transform for x of t multiplied by e to the power j omega naught t. So you know that since there is a presence of a phasor term in time domain, definitely there would be shifting in frequency domain. But we know that if we have a positive exponent over here, then a shifting would be of minus omega naught. Is that right? So let me name this as equation 1. In that case, x of t multiplied by e to the power minus j omega naught t will have its Fourier transform as x of omega plus omega naught. Let me say equation number 2. Now for some reason and to come to another conclusion, I'm going to add equation 1 and 2. So when you add these two, then on left hand side, I can take x of t common. In the bracket, I can write e to the power j omega naught t plus e to the power minus j omega naught t has a Fourier transform as, so here we are going to add right hand sides of equation 1 and equation 2. Rather, these are not equations but transformations. So we have x of omega minus omega naught plus x of omega plus omega naught. We know that e to the power j theta plus e to the power minus j theta is twice of cos theta. Is that right? So can I write this as x of t multiplied by twice of cos of omega naught t has a Fourier transform as, the right hand side will remain same, that is x of omega minus omega naught plus x of omega plus omega naught. So I can shift this 2 as a constant part to right hand side, and I can rewrite this property as x of t when multiplied with cos of omega naught t has got a Fourier transform as 1 by 2 x of omega minus omega naught plus x of omega plus omega naught. Similarly, I would say this as equation number 3. So I'll comment on this equation 3. If we do equation 1 minus equation 2, so I'm talking about these two transformations, and if I perform subtractions over here, again I'll take x of t common, and I can write this way: x of t in bracket we have e to the power j omega naught t minus e to the power minus j omega naught t will have Fourier transform as x of omega minus omega naught minus x of omega plus omega naught. Is that right? So we know that e to the power j theta minus e to the power minus j theta is twice of j sin theta. So e to the power j theta minus e to the power minus j theta is equivalent to 2j sin theta. So by using this concept, I can write x of t. So now I can replace this as sine of omega naught t, and 2j, since it is constant, I can transfer it to right hand side, and it will have a Fourier transform as 1 upon 2j x of omega minus omega naught minus x of omega plus omega naught. Is that right? So what I really mean to say is, over here, if you see that x of t is your signal, am I right? And you are multiplying with some cos signal. In second case, again you have x of t as your signal, and now you are multiplying with sine omega naught t. So either you are multiplying with sine or you are multiplying with cos, and then what happens in frequency domain, as you have seen, the frequency shift happens in two sides. So x of omega minus omega naught and x of omega plus omega naught. Here also you get two frequency terms over here, that is x of omega minus omega naught and x of omega plus omega naught. This is something what we call as a modulation. So how I'm comparing this with modulation? Why do we do modulation? Let us discuss a little bit, then I'll get back to this. See, in case you have some signal, let's say x of t, and let's say if you want to transfer this signal to a longer distances, then only you can make use of a modulation. What if I want to send this signal x of t without modulation, if I want to, let's say, transfer it to a longer distances, then the theory says that we need the antennas whose lengths are in terms of kilometers. Tell me, is it really convenient to in fact use antennas in terms of kilometers length? Of course, no. If you have seen your mobiles have got some antenna, but size of the antenna is in terms of micrometer. So if I want to transmit the signal by using a minimum size of antenna, then we have to use a concept of modulation, where what we do is we raise the frequency. If we raise the frequency, then with even a smaller size of antenna, it is possible to transmit the signal over a longer distances. See, let us say this x of t is your some signal, and of course it is in which domain? Of course it is in time domain. Let us assume its frequency domain like this. So I'm assuming this is a frequency domain of this signal. Since I want to transmit this signal, I would rather say this is as a message signal. So omega m and minus omega m are basically its message frequency or a signal frequency. So this is a frequency domain. So what you did is you wanted to transmit this message signal having frequency as omega m to a longer distance by using a minimum size of antenna. Then the idea says you perform a modulation, that is raise the frequency content, and then even with even with a smaller size of antenna, it is possible to transmit the signal over a longer distances. So this is what I'm trying to do is x of t I'm multiplying with cos of omega naught t signal, where cos of omega naught t signal is a carrier signal, with a very high frequency signal. And let me remind you, your x of t is a message signal with frequency as omega m. Am I right? And cos omega naught t signal is a carrier signal with frequency as omega naught. And let me tell you, omega naught is very high as compared to omega m. So when you are multiplying in time domain, what just happened in frequency domain as you have seen? So let me write its Fourier transform. We already have a Fourier transform for x of t as 1 by 2 in bracket we had x of omega minus omega naught plus x of omega plus omega naught. In this case, the message signal frequency is omega m, so I would write omega m here and omega m here. Is that right? So now if you try to plot this signal, then what is going to happen? Look up. This is what we have, x of omega. Okay. Now if I want to plot x of omega minus omega naught, then where I'm going to plot it? Of course, when they tell me to subtract, I basically add in case of frequency or in case of time also. Okay. So since the middle point was 0, now it gets added with omega naught, then it will become like this. So as you can see, your signal is now got shifted to omega naught frequency. Am I right? And we have one more frequency content as omega m plus omega naught. So we get one more content over here with frequency as minus omega naught. But in real time, these are negative frequencies. So let us ignore this part, concentrate on this part. Originally, it was centered at 0. The maximum frequency content in the message signal was omega m. So this was the maximum frequency content. Now after modulation, what is meant by modulation? That multiplying the signal x of t, which was a message signal, with a carrier signal with a frequency as omega naught, where omega naught is very high as compared to omega m. So what has happened in Fourier transform? We got two components, a first component and the second component. I'm going to ignore first component because this is related to negative frequencies. Therefore, I have ignored this. But right hand side part I'm going to look after. As you can see, we have to plot this signal, that is x of omega m minus omega naught. So we already had x of omega. Now I'm going to plot x of omega m minus omega naught. So this is the frequency content. So as you can see, the maximum frequency content is now, it is omega naught plus omega m. And here we have omega naught minus omega m. As you can see, this is the highest frequency content. Am I right? So can't you see the original frequency, which was a very less frequency, as you can see in the frequency domain, now it got shifted to a very high frequency. So that's what I'm trying to tell you, that if you want to transmit some signal which is in time domain, okay, which has got some lesser frequency, let's say omega m, if you want to transmit it over a longer distances, with a minimum size of antenna, then there is only one solution. You have to make use of a modulation. And modulation is a process where you enhance the frequency content of the signal and then only you transmit it. So this is how I have tried to tell you the property. So whenever you are multiplying your signal x of t with cos omega naught t or sin omega naught t, what you are actually trying to do is a modulation. So this is also called as a modulation property. So now we have to get a Fourier transform for e to the power j omega naught t and e to the power minus j omega naught t. We'll see how we can do with this. So I want a Fourier transform for e to the power j omega naught t. So question is, what is a Fourier transform for this? So we don't have a direct formula, but yes, by using a frequency shifting property, we can go with it. For example, if there is nothing in this exponential term, I can take coefficient as 1. I'm sure you agree with this. And also, we know what is a Fourier transform for 1. Fourier transform for 1 is 2 pi del of omega. This is what we have already derived. So I can again say 1 has Fourier transform as 2 pi del of omega. In that case, 1 when multiplied with e to the power j omega naught t. Now I can use a frequency shifting property, that is 2 pi del of omega. If we have a positive omega naught here, I can write minus omega naught here. Let me say this as equation 1. In that case, I can get Fourier transform for e to the power minus j omega naught t similarly. So I can say 1 dot e to the power minus j omega naught t is simply 2 pi del of omega plus omega naught, and I would say transformation number 2. So now I'm going to add 1 and 2. So what I'm going to get is e to the power j omega naught t plus e to the power minus j omega naught t has a Fourier transform as. So if you see the right hand side, you can take 2 pi out and I can write del of omega minus omega naught plus del of omega plus omega naught. In fact, again by using a Euler's formula, e to the power j theta plus e to the power minus j theta is twice of cos theta. So I can write this as twice of cos of omega naught t has a Fourier transform as 2 pi del of omega minus omega naught plus del of omega plus omega naught. So here 2 and 2 I can cancel. Therefore I can write cos of omega naught t has a Fourier transform as pi times del of omega minus omega naught plus pi times del of omega plus omega naught. Am I right? So as you know that cos of omega naught t is signal which looks like this. In which domain? Of course it is in time domain. Whereas after transforming it in frequency domain, I can draw its frequency spectrum like this. So we know how to draw this, that is delta function of omega minus omega naught. So we have this impulse function present at omega naught. We know that coefficient of any delta function is considered as its area. And we have another impulse function present at omega equal to minus omega naught. So we have another impulse function present at minus omega naught, again having area as pi. So this is a frequency spectrum. So after addition of 1 and 2, I got this frequency spectrum, that is a frequency spectrum for cos omega naught t signal, which is periodic signal. So of course cos omega naught t is a periodic signal. So if I want to see what is the status of frequency spectrum for sinusoidal signal, then instead of performing addition, I'm going to subtract 1 and 2, or I would say subtracting 2 from 1. Then I'll get this way. e to the power j omega naught t minus e to the power minus j omega naught t will have its Fourier transform as, so we had 2 pi out, then del of omega minus omega naught minus del of omega plus omega naught, and we know that e to the power j theta minus e to the power minus j theta is twice of j sine theta, so it is 2j times sine of omega naught t will have as Fourier transform 2 pi times del of omega minus omega naught minus del of omega plus omega naught. Here again 2 and 2 gets cancelled. What is remaining is sine of omega naught t as a Fourier transform as pi by j times del of omega minus omega naught minus pi by j del of omega plus omega naught. We know how sinusoidal looks like in time domain. So we have this kind of signal in time domain. I'm saying this as time domain because it is in terms of t. So after having a Fourier transform, we got some frequency domain. So I can draw its frequency domain specification like this. So what we had over here is omega. So if I want to draw this impulse function, I know that, let's say if I have del of omega, then we know that it is an impulse function present at omega equal to 0. But if I have impulse function, which is the first impulse function I'm talking about, is del of omega minus omega naught, then it is impulse function present at omega equal to positive omega naught. So at positive omega naught, I have some impulse function, and we know that coefficient of any impulse function is area. So area is pi by j, and we have one more impulse function present at omega equal to minus omega naught. So this is the second impulse function I'm saying, that is del of omega plus omega naught. It means it is present at minus omega naught. Since we have a negative exponent, since we have a negative coefficient over here, then I can draw impulse function like this with negative area minus pi by j. So this is a frequency spectrum. You know what? When I started with Fourier series, in a very first lecture of Fourier series, which was Introduction to Fourier series, I said clearly that for periodic signal, we go for Fourier series. In fact, to have a Fourier series for a particular signal, it is mandatory that signal must be periodic, right? So motive was same, that is to see its frequency content. I mean, you have some signal which is periodic in nature, and if you want to see what are its frequency content, then we go for a Fourier series. But to have a Fourier series, it was mandatory that you must have a periodic signal. But the question is, what if I have a aperiodic signal, or also called as a non-periodic signal, and I am interested to see what are its frequency components? Then Fourier series is not an option for you. You must go for a Fourier transform. So Fourier transform is basically made to see a frequency components for a periodic signal. But right now, if you have seen in last two slides, I'm going for a frequency spectrum which is for cos omega naught t and sin omega naught t, which are periodic in nature. Even in that introduction only, I made it quite clear that even for a periodic signal, I can still go for a Fourier transform. But preferably, as I said, I went for a Fourier series. So here, if I want to compare a Fourier series with Fourier transform in context to a periodic signal, I can go this way. We have already seen that cos of omega naught t has a Fourier transform as pi del of omega minus omega naught plus pi times del of omega plus omega naught. Is that right? Now, for example, let omega naught is equal to 2. Then I would say cos of omega naught t. In fact, we should now replace omega naught equal to 2. So it would be cos of 2t will have a Fourier transform as phi of del of omega plus 2. We should replace this plus with minus plus phi times del of omega minus 2. Am I right? So this is a Fourier transform for a cosine signal, which is a periodic in nature. Let me remind you what we did in terms of Fourier series. Now, instead of having a Fourier transform for cos of 2t, if I want a Fourier series for cos of 2t. So understand the question. Now, we already have a Fourier transform for cos of 2t. Now I want to express my cos of 2t signal in terms of its Fourier series. So let our signal x of t is now cos of 2t, and now I want to express it in terms of its Fourier series. So answer is it is itself a Fourier series, because please don't forget your Fourier series is nothing but expressing any type of signal, whether it is sinusoidal, whether it is cos signal, whether it is square wave, whether it is triangular wave. It has to be a periodic one. You express it in terms of sine and cos. If you remember, we have written a Fourier series, a trigonometric Fourier series, as a naught plus summation from k equal to 1 to infinity ak cos k omega naught t plus bk sin k omega naught t. So there we try to express our signal in terms of sine and cos only. And you know what? This is already in terms of cos. So I would say that a given signal is already in the form of a Fourier series form. What does that mean? That this is nothing but your omega naught. So can I say this is a fundamental component? And if this is a fundamental component, we know that this is nothing but the value of a1. So value of a1 is equal to 1. If I say that this x of t is actually your Fourier series itself, then I would say that there are no sign components. And if there are no sign components, it clearly means value of bk is always 0. Is that right? Irrespective what is the value of k, bk is always 0. So I would say b1 equal to 0. Now from this I can calculate ck. If you know what is the relation, ck is your ak minus bk, in fact jbk divided by 2. So for k equal to 1 I would say c1, which will be a1 value is 1, bk value is 0, so I would say it is 1 by 2. Is that right? But when I go for a ck plot, then I should go for even negative frequencies also. So c minus 1 is nothing but c1 conjugate. Is that right? But then since c1 is a real, then c1 conjugate will be 1 by 2 itself. So let us try to plot this ck plot. So let me remind you, our x of t is cos of 2t, for which now I got c1 value as 1 by 2 and c minus 1 value as 1 by 2 only. And when I'm trying to plot it, at k equal to 1 and k equal to minus 1, at k equal to 1 we have 1 by 2, and at k equal to minus 1 again we have magnitude as 1 by 2 only. Am I right? So this is your ck plot. So this is a frequency spectrum in terms of Fourier series. You know what? We have already taken a Fourier transform for cos of 2t, and even for cos of 2t we can have another frequency spectrum, but by using a Fourier transform. Please remember, whether it is Fourier series or whether it is Fourier transform, both of them are different tools, but aim of using them is the same, that is transforming the signal from time domain to frequency domain. So we have already analyzed cos 2t's nature in case of Fourier series and in case of Fourier transform also. So let us try to have a frequency spectrum for cos of 2t by using Fourier transform. and then I'll compare both the spectrums. Okay, so let me remind you, when I say k equal to 1, it is nothing but a fundamental component. A fundamental component means a component present at omega equal to omega naught, and you know what omega naught was? 2, and this is the value present at omega naught equal to minus 2. So this is a negative frequency, this is a positive frequency. So now let me remind you what we had. A Fourier transform for cos of 2t, it was pi del of omega plus 2, in fact omega minus 2, plus pi times del of omega plus 2. So on x-axis we have omega. Now try to understand, this is an impulse function present at omega equal to positive 2. Please remember, when I say del of omega, it is an impulse function present at omega equal to 0. But when I say del of omega minus 2, it means it is an impulse function present at omega equal to positive 2 with area as pi. So at omega equal to 2, we have an impulse function with area pi. Am I right? Whereas when I say del of omega plus 2, then it is an impulse function present at omega equal to minus 2. So we have one more impulse function present at omega equal to minus 2 with area equal to pi. So now if you compare these two, then you will see we got a similar structure, but with some differences. What are those differences? We will see. So don't forget, this is also a frequency spectrum, but obtained by using Fourier transform. Now if I want to compare this, you can see that here we got some fixed amplitudes. This 1 by 2 and 1 by 2 are amplitudes. But let me tell you, this pi and this pi are not amplitudes. But if you see, they are present at the same interval, but they are present at the same frequency. That is omega naught equal to 2, omega naught equal to 2. At omega naught equal to minus 2, omega naught equal to minus 2. Only difference is, here what you see is what kind of structure is a discrete structure, and what we have over here is a continuous structure. And if you remember, when we started with Fourier series, and in fact when we concluded Fourier series, automatically we got into Fourier transform. If you remember, in case of Fourier series, we always get a discrete structure in terms of frequency domain or in terms of frequency spectrum, whereas the frequency spectrum for Fourier transform was continuous in nature. Therefore, since we have a continuity over here or a continuous frequency domain, therefore we have a continuous impulse function, whereas over here we have impulse functions only, but these are discrete in nature. That is in case of a frequency spectrum for Fourier series. So still we are getting same things, only difference is the representation is quite a different. Here we have shifted impulse functions, in fact shifted continuous impulse functions, and these are also shifted but a discrete impulse functions. But in terms of area and in terms of magnitude, they are different. So we should now compare these two and we should relate them. So now if I want to compare, I can write a standard relation like this. X of omega is always 2 pi times ck. So this is a standard relation. So if you remember, in Fourier transform, we had area as pi, and over here we have magnitude as 1 by 2. So this is nothing but your ck value. Am I right? So if I want to equate these two, then I must multiply the right hand side with 2 pi. Is that right? So that this 2 and 2 gets cancelled, and then we get the same term at left hand side and right hand side. So this is the relation between a Fourier transform and Fourier series coefficient. So please remember, your Fourier transform is nothing but x of omega, and ck is your Fourier series coefficient. So this is the way we actually relate a Fourier transform with a Fourier series coefficient. Am I right? So what I did, I'll explain you once again. I wanted to equate these two structures. Okay, the first structure is also frequency spectrum, the second structure is also frequency spectrum. The only thing is how those frequency spectrums are obtained. The first frequency spectrum is obtained by using a tool called as Fourier series, and a second frequency spectrum is obtained by using another tool called as Fourier transform. I wanted to compare them. Okay, we know that a frequency spectrum for Fourier series is discrete in nature, and frequency spectrum obtained from a Fourier transform is continuous in nature. Also, in terms of magnitudes, I had to compare. So when I had a pi over here, what I have magnitude over here is 1 by 2. Therefore, I have established this relation that x of omega should be equal to 2 pi times ck, where ck is a Fourier series coefficient. A Fourier series coefficient at one frequency we had 1 by 2, and x of omega was pi. If I want to actually equate them, then I have to multiply ck with 2 pi. Is that right? So this is how we compare a Fourier series coefficient with Fourier transform. By using this relation, what you are able to do, for example, if you have a Fourier series for a particular periodic signal, and if you want a Fourier transform for that periodic signal, then you don't have to really go through a longer procedure. By using this relation, you can get directly a Fourier transform for a given periodic signal by using this relation if you know a Fourier series coefficient for that signal, right? So this was the only motive to tell you the relation between a Fourier series coefficient and a Fourier transform. So now we have to get a Fourier transform for e to the power minus 2t times cos of 20t. So you know that, let's say this is our one signal x of t, and this is how we are multiplying with cos of omega naught t. And we know this property is called as a modulation property. So whenever you are multiplying x of t with either cos signal or sine signal, this is what we called as a modulation property. But then let me remind you how to get a Fourier transform for x of t first. So let your x of t is e to the power minus 2 mod of t, and now this is comparable with e to the power minus a mod of t. You know its Fourier transform as twice of a upon a square plus omega naught square or omega square. So here the value of a is equal to 2. So I would say e to the power minus 2 mod of t will have a Fourier transform as 4 upon 4 plus omega square, or you can rewrite this as 4 upon omega square plus 4. So when I say this is your x of t, this is your final x of omega. But the question is not to have only Fourier transform for given x of t, it is x of t times cos of omega naught t. So let me remind you the property. If x of t has a Fourier transform as x of omega, then x of t when multiplied with cos omega naught t has a Fourier transform. So Fourier transform is 1 by 2 x of omega minus omega naught plus x of omega plus omega naught. So here what I'm trying to get is a Fourier transform for e to the power minus 2 mod of t cos of 20t. So here a equal to 2 and omega naught equal to 20. So now we must have a Fourier transform as 1 by 2 x of omega minus omega naught is 20 plus x of omega plus 20. So since we know what is x of omega was 4 upon omega square plus 4. Is that right? So if x of omega is known to me, how to get x of omega minus 20? Just replace omega with omega minus 20. And how to get x of omega plus 20? By using x of omega, simply replace omega with omega plus 20. And now we can write a final answer as Fourier transform for given function is 1 by 2. So x of omega minus 20 is replacing omega with omega minus 20 in x of omega. We get 4 upon omega minus 20 whole square plus 4 plus, here replace omega with omega plus 20. So what I'm supposed to get, 4 upon omega plus 20 whole square plus 4. So this is our final answer. So now I'm sure you understood how to use a modulation property. Don't forget, if I'm multiplying with cos, this is the formula. Let's say x of t when multiplied with sine of omega naught t, then its Fourier transform is 1 upon 2j x of omega minus omega naught minus x of omega plus omega naught. Let's go to the another property called as a time differentiation property. So we have to see what happens when a differentiation takes place in time domain, what happens to frequency domain. So let's say we have x of t having Fourier transform as x of omega, then d by dt of x of t, that is differentiation of x of t, in Fourier transform it is j omega times x of omega. In case if you take a double derivative, that is d square by dt square of x of t, in that case we have a Fourier transform as j omega whole square times x of omega. So what I see over here, in first case we have a single order derivative, then your x of omega is just multiplied with j omega. In case if we have a double derivative, then we are replacing j omega square times x of omega. So in general I can write nth derivative of x of t would be simply j omega to the power n x of omega, right? So it is that simple. This is called as a time differentiation property. Now it is multiplication by t property. Okay, so what is meant by multiplication by t property? Let's see. So let's say if I have x of t which has a Fourier transform as x of omega, since it is saying that multiplication by t property, then of course it would be in terms of time domain. So let's say if that independent variable is multiplied with x of t, then we will have a Fourier transform as j d by d omega of x of omega. So what I can conclude from this, whenever independent variable is multiplied to a function in one domain, differentiation occur in another domain. So understand what I'm trying to tell you. See, you know that this is a time domain. A left hand side is your time domain, and of course what is independent variable? Independent variable is t. So now you are multiplying function with some independent variable, then in another domain what happened? The differentiation happened in another domain. And the same thing we can confirm from the previous property also. Let's see. As you can see here, we have a frequency domain here, and your omega is your independent variable. Am I right? So when I say this omega is your independent variable, and here you are trying to multiply with omega, okay, so function is multiplied with omega. So as you can see, what happened in another domain is differentiation. Is that right? So this is what I really mean, that whenever for a particular function you have some independent variable, and if you are multiplying that function with independent variable, then in another domain if you see and if you observe, then the differentiation takes place. So this is what I meant, and this is what is even happening in this property also. Am I right? Let's move to the next property. So this is what we called as a convolution property. So let's see how convolution property works. Let's say we have signal x of t has a Fourier transform as x of omega, and let's say h of t is another signal, and we know that this is popularly known as an impulse response. Okay, irrespective of that, it is in time domain, will have its frequency domain response as h of omega. Please don't forget, we generally use small letters in time domain, then we use capital letters in frequency domain so as to differentiate. Then if the convolution is taking place in time, that is x of t when convolved with h of t, then it will have a Fourier transform as simply multiplication in frequency domain, that is x of omega dot h of omega. So convolution in one domain makes product in another domain. Is that right? And again, this is vice versa true. That is, let's say x of t's Fourier transform is x of omega, and h of t being impulse response has a Fourier transform as h of omega. Then if I'm taking product of x of t and h of t, then it will have a Fourier transform as convolution of x of omega with h of omega. So as you can see, if there is product in one domain, it makes convolution in another domain, and again it is vice versa. Convolution in one domain makes product in another domain, but then with a minor difference over here, that we have extra term here, that is 1 upon 2 pi. So you don't have to forget this. So this is about a convolution property. So now with these properties, now we have understood how to apply these properties, and of course we will solve some numerical in next video so as to get a complete clarity. Thank you.